Yes, guys, welcome to Chasing Green Arrows. This is FPL Insight. I am Gianni, and I'm joined by Transfer Guru and recently back in the UK as of 24 hours ago, Mr. Dean Jones. Dean, how are
pretty
you?
much. Yeah, good, mate. Yep. Deep in jet lag. A 2-year-old and a 4-year-old that were up literally all through the night and decided to go to sleep at 6 a.m. and then sleep. Well, I woke them up at midday. I was like, this is a joke. This can't work. So don't know when I'm sleeping next, but I'm still happy. Yeah, it's good to be back. We've got some nice weather and there's loads of football to get back to. I'm a bit annoyed because the app is not working. The FPL app is just not, every time you open it, it just crashes. And I prefer the app to the website. But half an hour ago, we'll talk about this later, but half an hour ago, I did go in and have a quick go, what would my initial splurge be of this money? So once we talk to yours, I'll bounce back at you. But yeah, we're back. It feels like the proper start of the Chasing Green Arrows season. Yeah. And I can't wait, mate, to hear your insight of where we should all be heading.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a good pre-season. I love the fact we've only got 3-4 weeks. Coming up in today's show, we're going to be speaking about transfers. Like Dean's got the inside track on some big names. I'm wearing a Portuguese shirt for a reason. And then I'm going to be revealing my first draft. This is the first time I've shown it anywhere. I've spent a long time producing this draft. And of course, there'll be loads of changes, but I can't wait to show you it all. And we're going to be answering your questions. And I'm glad to see in the chat so many of our favourites. FPL River, Stephen, Laura. I've seen Tiffany, Tan, CH. Thank you all for joining us. Mohammed's with us as well. Guys, what do you think to our new graphics? Did you like our thumbnail? Do let us know. And obviously give us a like and a share if you can and a subscribe. Dean, did you see tonight Gabriel Jesus has scored 2 goals in something like 2 minutes or 10-minute cameo for Arsenal? I think he came on in the second half. And FPL Twitter is going mental for it. It's like the first pre-season. They scored 5. Jesus got 2, and all of a sudden his ownership is rising by the minute.
8 million. What is that about? Why? Yeah. Why is he only 8 million?
He's had a price drop.
I'm delighted. I mean, it's a no-brainer. I mean, I remember back end of last season, we were like, here we go. The next season, everyone begins the season with Haaland. I'd say there's more argument to actually everyone to have Jesus at that price point. And I don't think Haaland's a complete necessity at the price he's at. But yeah, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, Jesus could explode, couldn't he? Well, in one sense or another, he'll either explode on the goals front or he'll explode because he's so frustrated with the rest of his teammates. But one way or the other, it's going to be such a big season for him.
We can guarantee he will create a high amount of expected goals. Whether or not he finishes them all, we know Jesus is notoriously not the best finisher. He needs a lot of chances to score, but maybe that will change in this Arsenal team. So I look forward to that. And we'll be looking at expected data later in the show when we look at defenders as well, because there's loads of big at the back drafts, and we need to have a deep dive into who are the main fullbacks to be searching for. Yeah. Capital FPL, Sterling's impact on FPL at Chelsea. Well, firstly, he's 10.5 million. That's a Man City price tag for a Chelsea player. But he's going to play every game. He's going to play on the left. His stats don't lie, Dean. Do you like the move? We'll talk more about it later, I guess. But
yeah, I think it will grow on me, I think. I've never had Raheem Sterling down as a Chelsea player. I'm kind of pleased to see him not happy with his game time, not willing to just be a passenger. I like that desire. I like the need to play. And I think at Chelsea, we'll see more of him on both wings rather than just being stuck to one flank. I think we'll see more versatility from him there, and Tuchel might use him differently. I think it's a good signing from Chelsea. I do. I think it's better than some of the other options that they've had recently.
Yeah, and I think only 1 year was left on his contract, so it's a good deal, isn't it? I know he's going to be on 300k a week, but the fee is low he's only 27 still. We're getting peak Sterling Chelsea. So yeah, guys, we're going to get to your questions later. So do still keep asking them. If we don't get to them, we might come back to them. We'll also be having comment of the stream as well, which we like comment of the stream. You guys might remember that from last season. Yeah. I think we're going to be moving on with our time to talk section. So I think, look, check out the title sequence. If you haven't seen it yet, this is called Transferonomics. all the gear, Dean. All the
I'm
gear.
not sure where my neck's gone either in that photo. Like, I need to have a word with the designer because I definitely do have a neck here. Not eaten that much pizza and drunk that much beer while I've been in America that my body has just morphed into one. But there we go.
Danny DeVito.
Yeah. Here we go. Look, transfer seat. What a transfer window we're having. Like it's exciting. There's so many big names, so many big transfers, and for FPL, like, obviously, it's super exciting. Medium rating we've gone for Ronaldo to Chelsea, and to be honest, I have that set as a potential transfer and also as a fit for Chelsea. I think that there are both things to factor in here. Look, the interesting thing with this is that Ronaldo's been touted around to various clubs around Europe. Most of them didn't buy it. Chelsea did have a little nibble. So that's why there is this potential interest in Cristiano Ronaldo. Personally, I can't actually see this going through, but I'm not ruling it out at the same time because Ronaldo wants Champions League football. I can't understand, though, if that was his desire all along, if he could never imagine himself playing Europa League or whatever it was, why didn't Man United know about this by May? Why did they not have the opportunity to open this window knowing they needed a striker? All a bit baffling for me, and I'm sure there's still going to be some friction when he eventually does come into pre-season. But I mean, mate, you're a Chelsea fan. Can you imagine watching your team with Ronaldo up front?
I mean, you could argue Chelsea need a striker for 12 months because people are forgetting Lukaku is coming back. Like, it's very unlikely Lukaku's going to stay at Inter unless he smashes it and they get money from somewhere. So we need a striker for 12 months. Like, is it going to just be Havertz and Werner as our options? But so Ronaldo, you could argue, fits in that respect, someone that can come in for 12 months and do a job. But I can't see it. I think there's a longer term vision at Chelsea still.
I agree.
So no, I don't know who he suits though, Dean. Who does Ronaldo suit?
I don't know. In terms of Champions League, I don't think there are many because the thing is with Ronaldo and Chelsea is that, look, Lukaku wasn't happy because Chelsea's style didn't suit him, right? And he felt that like the reason he wasn't successful was because Chelsea weren't playing into a style of play, pretty much like what Neil is saying here. Well, Ronaldo is going to expect exactly the same thing. And not only that, he will actually throw his toys out the pram. He will give you a performance on the pitch. He'll throw his arms in the air like he has been at United. He'll walk straight down the tunnel. Chelsea fans, I don't think most of them particularly like Ronaldo up to this point. Like, given his history with the clubs he's been at, like Chelsea have no affiliation for, like, you kind of have to win them over. I'm sure there are segments of Chelsea support that would like Ronaldo at Chelsea, but I have to admit, I think the majority of those would be outside of England. I think like match-going Chelsea fan, they don't care about Ronaldo. Certainly not at this stage of his career. I think personally that United are open to selling Ronaldo. I know that they've said like they have no intention to. He's not for sale. He's not for sale, but that doesn't mean they wouldn't sell him. I saw a transfer fee mooted of £15 million. I mean, for me, that can't happen. Like, United get held to ransom by everyone across Europe for whoever they go for. They can't be letting Cristiano Ronaldo leave for £15 million, especially if he's going to go and join Chelsea and make sure they're not in the Champions League again next season. Look, Ronaldo, away from Neil asked, what does he bring? Well, he brings a winning mentality, doesn't he? And he does bring... He's one of the greatest players of all time. Like, whatever you do think of him, like there are positives to signing him because he's unbelievable at football and he would score goals. Like, however they play, Ronaldo will score more goals probably than Lukaku. Would Lukaku end up with 15 in all comps or something last season? Ronaldo probably would better that, but I personally don't think it's the route Chelsea are or should be going down.
If we look outside the Premier League, like if United aren't going to sell to another English team, like the romantic move could be to go back to Lisbon. Like, could they afford him? Would he take a huge pay cut? I'm sure he would. But if he wants Champions League football, then yeah, that's an option. Could you see him going to one of the Spanish teams? No, not now. Like, he's not going to go back to Madrid. Barca's out the equation. PSG to link up with Messi. Could he go back to Serie A? I mean, Napoli, I think the president was saying in the week, Napoli need him, but I'm sure that's just to get a few clicks.
Yeah.
I mean,
USA. But is Napoli like... He wants Champions League football, right? He doesn't want to be at Man United because it's Champions League football. The club hasn't gone the way he wanted. So, like, is Napoli the way to go just because he might play at a certain level of football every other week or whatever it's going to be? I personally don't think so. I do think he'll end up in MLS. And when I was in LA, like, there was a lot of excitement that he might be coming to LAFC. But
with Chiellini.
Yeah, Chiellini, obviously Bale's gone there. Talking about getting Jesse Lingard at the moment, like having a real push of things over at LFC.
Oh, he's gone over, hasn't he, to USA for some talks?
He's gone for some talks. PSG, look, if Mbappe would have left, Ronaldo would be joining PSG right now. Yeah. We would be seeing next season Ronaldo and Messi together. So, like, that's kind of annoying.
They've got shirts to sell, but
Mbappe that would have been fun just for a year to see Ronaldo and Messi arguing on the pitch. That would have been cool. But, not happening.
Okay, let's move on. You guys will know we do this is a regular feature now. So we're going to go to a player who's not necessarily known by all football fans, but those that were watching the Championship at the end of last season. DJ Spence. I mean, he was on loan from Middlesbrough, who were way worse than Nottingham Forest last year. And Nottingham Forest beat Middlesbrough to get to the playoffs. And here we go. Like, they can't keep hold of him. And Spurs, he's perfect for them, isn't he, Dean? Someone that is still young and be moulded by Conte's play the wing-back role. We can rotate minutes with someone like Doherty. It's a good move on paper.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm actually putting this down in terms of our source meter. I'm giving this one a hot rating as well, because Jed Spence is somebody that Tottenham have put so much time into, so much resources in terms of like finding the perfect fit for where they want to be heading. And also there's a genuine feeling that this guy is the perfect fit for where they want to go. Look at him, 21 years of age. Most people, wouldn't have seen a lot of him. He hasn't obviously been playing in the Premier League, so he's kind of untested in that sense. But anyone that's in the football world that's seen him thinks the world of him, thinks that he can really assert himself on the Premier League. And in Conte's setup is obviously that right wing back role is missing a piece right now. And FPL terms too, we're missing that piece. Like, we want to know who's going to be Tottenham's starting right wing back, or at least rotating. And it's probably going to be Spence. There's been a bit of haggling over the price because Middlesbrough had agreed with Nottingham Forest that if they were to sign him, it would be for £13 million. Then Tottenham came into the conversation and they were like, it's £20 million. And they were like, what? You just told them £30 million? Yeah, but that was like a pre-agreement. It's £20 million if you want him. So there's some haggling going on right now, but Tottenham want it sorted out. They're like, look, if you're not going to budge, then we might move on to someone else. They don't really want to. I think it'll get done. A price prediction, if he was 4.5 million, no brainer, I think, especially if we figure out early on that he's actually in this team.
Yeah, I mean, Doherty is 5 million, but had a very good end to the season. I think Dyer went up to 5 million as well, but there are still starting Spurs defenders at 4.5. And I think even Sessegnon, who will get a lot of minutes, 4.5. Reguilon's 4.5. But yeah, the two right backs at the club already, Emerson Royale, Doherty, both at 5. But I think we'll see him at 4.5 because he's new to the league. And that's the same price as Sessegnon. And like he'll be rotating so much with Doherty. I am 1974. You're going to see my draft later. And the first version I sent to the producer of this show had Doherty in. And then the more I looked at the Spence news and the likelihood of that happening, I thought, if this kid is at Spurs, I don't want Doherty because I think he'll be out the team very, very soon. Yeah. And at very best, they share minutes. So for me, it was, would I go Spence? Probably not until I know he's starting week in, week out. But I think you just avoid that Spurs right back. And you obviously look at the Spurs left back. We'll talk more about that later.
Yeah. Also mad, like Nico Williams just left Liverpool for like 17 million or something it was in the end. Like, that is absurd amount of money, to be honest. Like, I watched Nico last season at Fulham. Like, it was exciting. He was great. But like, we also weren't tested defensively. Like, we never saw him on his back foot. We never saw what it was like. Going forward, he was great. I mean, there was one game where he hit the bar from the halfway line. There was various times he would just bomb on. He's kind of like Trent, actually, in the way that he would attack. But when we were on the back foot, there were still question marks there. And the team he's joining going to be down the bottom of the league. So, Spence to Tottenham, definitely one to look out for.
If you do want a 4.0 defender in your FPL teams, guys, the best at the moment, and still things can change, is Nico Williams. Like, he will be starting week in, week out for Forest. And whilst they'll concede bags of goals, he's a 4.0 starting wing back as well, remember.
And he will get assists. And he will
get some attacking returns, So, if your team's up for a 4.0, he's the standout so far. Let's move on to our final one. And this is a guy who's just been in the gossip column pages for the last 3-4 windows, hasn't he? And it's always been United, it's always been Arsenal, it's sometimes been Spurs. You think Arsenal are most likely if he goes anywhere, Dean?
Giving it a medium rating because Tottenham are still in the conversation here, and I think if Tielemans was to get the choice, he'd go to Tottenham. The whole reason behind him pushing to leave Leicester right now is because he now considers himself to be a player of Champions League level. He wants to go and test himself, and right now Tottenham just have the edge on Arsenal. It'd be a big win for them if they did go in for him. They beat Arsenal to this transfer. Mainly the win would be on Twitter, which would absolutely implode with all the banter between the two sets of fans, obviously, and Tottenham already having a good window. Tielemans would be a nice piece to the puzzle, but Arsenal have been progressing with the deal, so they do have a reasonable amount of confidence that they can get him. So I think that he's a great fit. And do they really need him right now? I think there are probably other areas of the pitch which are probably more pressing, but having Yuri Tielemans in your squad definitely isn't a negative. Man United, weren't they in for him since I'm 1974? Well, they have been like vaguely in the background monitoring it, but they've never pressed the button and gone for it. And ultimately, we know that they want Frankie de Jong right now, and I think that Frankie, there are various other people in that United squad already who can partner him. They're bringing in Christian Eriksen. They've got Bruno Fernandes at the top of the midfield. Not sure yet. Donny van de Beek, exactly. He's going to play. He's going to play. We'll certainly see in pre-season how that United midfield is shaping up. That's why they want Frankie on board sooner rather than later. I mean, it's not working out very well at the moment, but that's why they wanted it to happen. So yeah, Yuri Tielemans, medium in terms of likelihood and in terms of how I think he'll actually fit in at Arsenal. The thing that I find most interesting on Yuri Tielemans is I spoke to someone who is very, very close to all the issues at Leicester, and I was like, how does Brendan Rodgers feel about the fact that Tielemans is leaving? And he said he doesn't mind. He didn't use these words, but basically Tielemans isn't quite as good as he thinks he is. And ultimately, Brendan Rodgers thinks I could actually replace Tielemans with a player that is as good as him. And he thinks that he's probably not quite a Champions League player yet, like he thinks he is.
Interesting take that. A lot of Leicester fans will tell you he's at times been their best player. So yeah, keen to see what happens there if he does stay at Leicester. Cool, guys. Get your questions in. We've got a few to answer before we move on. And look, coming up next, so stay tuned. We have got a comparison of the premium defenders. And when we talk premium defenders, we're of course talking fullbacks and wingbacks. Then we've got my team reveal. We've got comment of the stream. Loads coming up before the hour. FPL River. Goalkeeping question. Now, we might do a section on goalkeepers in the next week or two. So do keep your eyes peeled for that. Loads of underpricing in goalkeepers. Dean, I don't know if you've had a huge time to look, but loads of those that you expect to be sort of 5.5 or 6 are 5. So Ramsdale is 5, Mendy is 5. I think Edison and Allison are 5.5. So let's set and forget Mendy and Foster. Or do you go for the two 4.5 options, of which at 4.5, there are tons of good options?
Yeah, I saw Pickford was 4.5, I think. Like, why is Jordan Pickford 4.5?
Yeah, and Sanchez at Brighton, they keep a lot of clean sheets. Raya in the 4.5 that the FPL community have all jumped on.
Yeah,
so FPL River, I guess you've seen that. My concern with Raya is second season syndrome for Brentford. And I look at those early fixtures for Brentford and I think, I can't see too many clean sheets. If Eriksen hadn't have signed last winter, I think they would have been in trouble towards the end of the season. He carried that team. So for me, I think I prefer Mendy and Foster as your two options. Although saying that, I've gone for 4.5, who isn't Raya and isn't Sanchez. And I won't say who that is now. And it's not Pickford either.
Okay.
So we'll see in the next 10 minutes who I've gone for. But and there's a reason for that. And it's all around the wild card. Like we've been told by FPL this year, not only have we got 2 wild cards, we're going to be able to make unlimited transfers during the World Cup. So we have to use wild card 1 before game week 16. Right. And then we have to use another one by January, effectively. So we're all going to be wildcarding early this year. Whether that's week 4 or week 5 or week 8 or 9, we will be using one way before week 16. So I'm just looking at the first 5-10 fixtures and going, which of those 4.5's got the best fixtures? And it's none of the guys we've mentioned, in my opinion. Interesting.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
FPL Penguin, good to see you around here, dude. I hope you are subscribing to the channel now. Are either Kane or Son necessary? Oh, this is the $1 million question. Like, you can't get Salah, Haaland, and Son into your team if you want premium defenders.
No, I tried.
So I'm probably gonna. I'm probably gonna have to go without them. But I am covering Spurs. with
Yeah.
Perisic, but I don't think you can cover Kane and Son. I really don't. Like, it's not like
No.
Perisic is going to be involved with all those goals. These two premiums link together all the time.
Yeah, totally. I mean, Son for me is much more tempting than Kane, especially start of the season. You know, especially like we know typically like what Harry Kane's start of season form is like. Like, you just avoid him. With what we've seen, there's been very little to gain from having him on board. Is Price stuck? Is it the same as last season?
Son's a 12 million midfielder. I think Kane's 11.5 forward. So Son has had a big rise.
Son's had a big rise and Kane's 11.5, but that's for a reason. Like, Son obviously gets you the extra points being that midfield. He outperformed Kane last season in terms of stats. So if I was going to take a punt on one, it 100% would be Son. Don't think it's 100% necessary though. It could definitely score, but I think there are more points to be had elsewhere probably.
Yeah, that first fixture is Southampton though, and I do wonder come deadline day.
Southampton are. I don't know who Southampton are. I don't know what we're getting.
Yeah,
they might be good, but I don't know.
That last question about Spurs brings us on to our we'll talk about Perisic coming up next, because in the next section we're going to be talking premium defenders. So let's check out FPL tips and chips. Dean, are you jealous of my neck?
I am. I was literally going to say I'm jealous of your neck. And actually, I was in a casino last week in Palm Springs. We popped into one, and you wouldn't have looked out of place at all, mate. You look very, very good there.
How did you get on?
Not very good. I don't really know.
I mean, no one. If you break even in a casino, you're in America, especially.
I was like, I'll just take 50, and if I lose it, then we'll just walk away, and that's that. We just won't talk about it again. But here we are talking about it.
Yeah, exactly. In America as well, even the roulette tables are against you. You don't just have zero; you have double zero. Like, ridiculous.
I'll tell you what I did have though was this really cool like digital blackjack table. Like, it was really cool. It was huge, and it had this whole room actually. It's all different games, but like there was huge digital ones, and it felt like you were sat at a table, but there wasn't that same pressure of like.
Yeah,
you know, when people are like trying to outdo you and you feel like a bit inadequate because you're not used to the like there was none of that, so it was quite good.
FPL River saying CJ up the graphics game. Yes, we have, and check out these 7 bad boys. Now, we've put some stats, and this isn't a stat channel, but pre-season we have to compare and we have to look at some. So when you see the numbers in terms of XG and XA, that's how many minutes it takes that player to clock a goal or to clock an assist, right? So let's just go through these rather than go player by player. Let's go through by stat. So if we're looking at the expected goals, which of these defenders threaten to score the most? Well, the Chelsea boys, like head and shoulders. I think Perisic was probably in and around there because we can see he scored 8 goals last season. Like, he's probably right up there. The Chelsea lads shoot on sight.
Forward, but
yeah, I know, right? I mean, we know Perisic from years gone by playing way back when as sort of in a front three.
Yeah, exactly. That's still how I think of him in my head. Like,
yeah, he still finishes like a front 3 player, and I think he's going to be a lock in so many teams. I think he's one of the most highly owned players in the game already, over 50%. But James Chilwell shooting on sight, Dean, if you're going to have one of these Chelsea lads, I mean, the expected assist for James is way higher, but the goal threat is very similar. Who do you prefer if they're both fit?
Honestly, I'd probably start with James just because, you know, Chilwell had a long layoff. It could take him a little time to kind of find his groove again. It's quite hard to come back from something like that and immediately hit the ground running. I'm not saying like it's impossible, but I think James is probably the safer bet. I think that this is going to be a massive season for Reece James and one that he'll want to really get through and make that position his own. There's been rumours of Chelsea signing a new right back recently. I think that was all dependent really on whether Aspie was to extend his deal or not. But on the other side, Chilwell, we know he's going to have that shirt. Like, if he's fit, he's going to have it. But I just think, like, to start the season, I would go with James. It might be later on, maybe after the World Cup, that you might switch onto Chilwell. But personally, I just love the threat of James. Like, it just gets me. And you just look at those numbers and you can see why.
Yeah, I like James if you can afford Chilwell too, but if not, James for me. When you look at the expected goals, like Cancelo's really, really high as well. And I think Man City, if from all the Man City players in the Premier League last season, I think Cancelo had more shots than any other player, which is
Really?
absolutely mental. So look, he's a shoo-in for my team. And then you look at the Liverpool lads, and the difference between Trent and Robbo with expected goals is huge. Like neither of them are that great for shooting, quite clearly. And the expected assist there, when you see Trent at 219, is head and shoulders above everyone. But Robertson, in terms of goal threat, doesn't really do it, does he? 1,559. That's pretty much similar to Trippier, who's reliant on free kicks.
Yeah. I mean, neither of them are great, obviously. I mean, it's like, what's Trent like? A goal every like 10, 11 games or something. Like, it's obviously not great. It's interesting though, because when I was, today I usually use the FPL app to pick my team and stuff, and that's not working. I mean, anytime you click on it, it just crashes.
You might have to update it.
Oh, really?
Do update your apps, guys. I had to do this the other day because I had the same problem. I think because they've changed so much with FPL, either new graphics, new colors, I think you have to go into your app store and actually update the app.
Okay, well, I'm going to do that because the rest of the app was working okay, but like anytime you clicked that, it just crashed, and it was frustrating. But anyway, I went online and quickly drafted out like what would my team be off the top of my head, and I was looking at the Trent Robertson, and I was like, for the 0.5, I reckon I could start the season by saving that and go for Robertson. And then you look at stats like that, and you'd be like, oh, especially if they've got like Fulham first day and stuff, and you're like, oh, yeah, Trent up against.
He's worth the extra 0.5. And to be fair, how he's coming at 7.5, I don't know. Like Trent is 9 million of anyone's money.
Yeah, that's true, isn't it? Yeah,
it's so low. I mean, I think he ended the season last year at 8 something. And the highest price ever for a defender in FPL was Leighton Baines and John Terry. Both started the season at 8.0. Leighton Baines and John Terry were not producing Trent's numbers. So Trent's a lock. Like James and Chilwell, great. We should probably, just touch quickly on Perisic will offer huge goal threat. Trippier's relying on set pieces and Newcastle to carry on being good. So we'll answer a couple of your questions before we show my team. But Neil says about Alonso and Aspi, like we know that Chelsea or Bowley is currently in, I think, Catalonia to have some conversations with Barcelona, maybe about De Jong, who knows, but possibly about the sale of these guys.
He's a crazy man.
Yeah. I'm sure you're hearing some cool stories, Dean.
Yeah, I mean, his approach to transfers is just mind-blowing, really. I mean, in terms of the European football world, they haven't seen anything like this. Like he's just phoning people up and making offers direct to owners. He's throwing players into deals. He's turning up on doorsteps, asking for meetings with people. He's being as proactive as he can, and on one sense, like I think it's great and like fair play to him. Traditionalists in the transfer world are like, what is this man doing? This is absolute chaos and absolutely not how you would normally conduct business at Chelsea as you're getting underway. But like, I think he's just trying to kick off a new era, and I think he's trying to something different from Roma. I think he's trying to be quite personable. He wants to get to know these people, want to know how he is, and like, he's American. This is how they do business. Like they want to go and make things happen, and that's what he's doing at the moment. We'll have to see what happens. I mean, obviously there have been quite a few players linked to Barcelona. I'm sure he would like to see if there are any little bargains he could pick up and the other way.
Capital FM, that's a great question. I'm going to answer it just before I mention my team reveal is coming up in the next couple of minutes, but we're only going to show my team reveal if we get to 30 likes. There's 18 likes so far. We just need that number at 30 or we don't see Gianni's first draft. Who is the third best Liverpool player? This is the $1 million question, actually. Like, let's all assume we've got Trent and Salah in our teams. Like, it's suicidal probably not going there early on. Mm-hmm. Do you go Robbo? Do you go Diaz? And I'm going to throw another name into the mix because I think he'll start the season as the number 9 until Darwin proves himself, and that is Jota, right? So is it Jota? Is it Robbo? Is it Diaz? I still think it's Robertson for value. For excitement, though, it's probably Diaz. What do you reckon, Dean? Diaz was impressive at the end of last season.
He was impressive, wasn't he? I'm just glancing through it all on what positions they've actually been put into. I mean, it's interesting. Like Diaz, 8 million as a midfielder, whereas Jota, 9 million as a forward. I think I'd be taking the lower value Diaz at the higher point scoring of the midfield and going for Luis Diaz. Like, I loved what he did last season. I think it was unbelievable to make that impact on that Liverpool team. But I totally understand your point. And Jota, if he does get the nod in those first few games, then it has to be a proof of point. I'm not sure he will, though. I still think that they'll start the season. They'll be like, here we go. Salah, Nunez, Luis Diaz at Craven Cottage. I'll be behind the
Go
goal
mental.
crying. Yeah, I'll be. Yeah.
And
But
Jota's been
interesting.
reclassified. He's a forward.
Jota as a forward, I think, is a bit of a game changer in terms of considering him. Yeah.
9 though is expensive.
No, he's the same price as Darwin. Like, it'd be interesting to see at the end of the year who's performed best. Probably will be Darwin, but you never know.
Yeah. FPL River saying, can I like one more time? Guys, I'm very keen to know where everyone is in the world. Can we just have a little check on locations? Like, how many of you are in the UK like me and Dean? I'm guessing like 25%. So if you're just whack your country where you're watching this from at the moment into the chat, just one word. Let's read a few of them out. And we have got to 30 likes. Thank you, team. Essex, first up. Scotland, Norway, UK. Oh, yes, slip in India. Must be late there. Must be very late in India. Uganda. No way.
Nice. That is nice.
North London, USA and Canada representing.
Laura's in England. USA. Well done, Tiff. Canada. I thought I read someone earlier saying Canada had an internet outage or something. So well done for getting on. Well, all over the place.
Love that. Ireland as well represented. Good stuff. Okay, let's move on to. I've been waiting to show everyone this. I nearly posted it on Instagram days ago. I've nearly posted it on Twitter. Loads have asked me. Let's check out my team reveal.
Yay.
I mean, it shouldn't be that. Whilst it's cool, it's going to change 1,000 times. So,
yeah,
guys,
but it's still interesting.
Yeah, I've gone big at the back, Dean. I just can't get. I can't get that third premium in and then be happy with my backline. And whilst there's good value defenders at 4.5, like Gianni at Wolves, I think could be good this year. They've got good fixtures. I still look at those premium defenders. And in terms of value, like Trent gets 200 points a season. Cancelo, Robbo, James and Perisic, I all think can have a 200-point season. And when you look elsewhere, like Harry Kane didn't have a 200-point season last year. You got to spend 11.5 for him. So I'm just going on value. So defense we've spoken about. Keepers, Melier, in terms of fixtures, if you're going off the first 6 to 8, it's Leeds for me. And I think Jesse Marsch is going to have them on lockdown. I really need to see pre-season form before I commit to this. But I like that move. And then, no Foden, which is a tough one. I don't know where I'm going to go with this. I'm not set on Grealish and I'm not set on Havertz. That could very easily be Jesus, for example, instead of Havertz.
Yeah.
But Grealish at 7.0 could easily be Harvey Barnes. I do like Leicester. I think Leicester this season could be ones to watch. No, they're not playing European football. What's your take there, Dean?
Yeah. It's a big season for Brendan Rodgers, and he really wants to make some changes in this window too. So I think that's definitely something we're going to have to look out for. And if he keeps James Maddison, could be a really big season, I think, for James Maddison. Mate, as I say, I did a quick draft myself, just because I knew you had done yours. I was like, what would I compare? Early on, I have gone for Foden over Grealish, I have to say. Big season. I mean, I expect...
Extra million, though. That's the bit I can't get to.
It is an extra million, yeah. I guess I've probably taken... I'm not sure where I've taken it. In defence, I guess, is where I've taken the hit on that, yeah. But even I was looking at the scout earlier, just on the actual FPL app, just to see where that mind was at this moment. And
Tomiyasu was in the 11, wasn't he?
Tomiyasu was in there. Bruno Guimaraes was in there. Neto was in there. Colback, Sam Greenwood. Like, I have to say, like on first glance, that your team is a lot stronger than that one. So that's quite a strange one. But
which is weird because I'm kind of part of that scout team, and I'm like, guys, this team's rubbish. Like, what are you doing?
I was very surprised with some of the picks. Especially the midfield. I thought was so weak. I think I had Kulusevski in there as well, and I was like, don't get me wrong, like he had a good season, but like
with Richarlison coming in, he's not guaranteed to start.
Yeah, and I'm not sure I'll be kicking off my campaign with him, so he won't be cheap either. But yeah, I'm sure, like as you say, like you've already got the conundrum over Jesus after he just scored twice today, so that's already put question marks over Havertz, as well as the fact Ronaldo might be coming. Are you 100% going with Haaland, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. Do you know, there is a school of thought to go, you could go Cancelo, Foden, Mahrez. You could cover Haaland with the best two midfielders at 8 million. Like Mahrez and Foden are both better shouts than Grealish. I just can't afford the 8 million bracket. Could sell Robertson and move him down, and then I could afford Foden or Mahrez. So that is something to consider. But if Haaland looks good in pre-season and we're confident about him starting game week 1, then he's got to be in for me. It's 65% owned. Like, check out the ownership numbers there. Like,
no,
that
that's what's
can
scary about
kill
it.
you before you've even started.
They can. That's what will probably kill me. GV says, can you justify Grealish? You've got less FPL points than McGinn. And I mean, the thing is with that, like Grealish was having a settling in season, and you know, Raheem Sterling's just gone, Gabby Jesus has just gone. Like, that's all because they're now looking to get the investment out of Jack Grealish. Like, we saw flashes of it last season. Like, back end, he was in there quite a bit. He knows now what it takes to win the league. He knows what it takes to fit into Pep's dynamic and the demands that come with it. Obviously, like, there are still question marks over Grealish and his mentality, because you know, he clearly likes partying as well as playing football. But I think you can trust the lad, and I think that this is a really interesting season for him. Personally, if you get the extra million, I trust Foden a bit more. I think, you know, he's on the pitch,
Pep loves him as well.
Makes better decisions, and probably is a better footballer. I think Grealish is amazing and, you know, Gaza-like, but Foden is a bit more ruthless. That's what I like about him. Is a bit more robotic in his decision making and doesn't get too much wrong. But that's why, you know, a lot of people will go with Grealish, because he's going to play a lot more games this time.
Yeah, no Jesus, no Sterling. We like that for all those front three players, no matter if they're left or right. Let's do some quick fire questions. Neil, Havertz over Jesus is a tough one, but again, it's pre-season form. Like we've seen tonight, Jesus has got 2, nearly had a hat-trick. But Havertz is going to be leading the line for Chelsea unless they buy a striker. And I'm still more confident about Chelsea scoring goals than Arsenal. Maybe for the first couple of weeks, Arsenal fixtures. But they start the season with Palace, which isn't an easy trip. I can't remember off the top of my head if that's at Selhurst Park. If it is, I wouldn't be surprised to see Palace keep a clean sheet. It is. So look, Arsenal were great last season, but they didn't have midweek football. Knowing they've got so many fixtures and not got the biggest squad, I don't think we'll see... I think Arsenal will finish 6th or 7th this season. I don't think they're a top 4 team. Yet Chelsea are going to be in and amongst it.
Yeah. See, someone asked me about sorry, I was going to say, but on Rafinha, someone just asked, Rafinha at Chelsea could be fired to FPL River. And he's 7 million priced up right now at Leeds, Rafinha. And obviously he's not starting he might start next season with Leeds, but he won't actually be playing.
That's nice.
7 million Rafinha at Chelsea, which could happen. Like, obviously he would rather join Barcelona, but that's, you know, Chelsea fans shouldn't be upset by that. Like, most people in the world would rather join Barcelona than Chelsea, but it's not bad to be the second rung down from Barcelona. Like, that's not a total knockback. Like, they are one of the greatest teams of all time. And of course, people want to go and play there. But if it can't be done, then you get Rafinha at Chelsea. And at £7 million, that's something we're all going to have to consider.
Yeah. Love this question from Evan Etzer, because Chilwell was obviously missed pretty much all of last season, and when he did play last season, in terms of points per game, he was the best of all the premium defenders. Now, keeping that consistency all season is a tough ask, and Chelsea could move to a back 4. If they do, I still expect the fullbacks to be super high, just like the Liverpool fullbacks are high in a 4 and the City fullbacks are high in a 4, but perhaps not quite the same appeal. I still prefer Robbo, although you can't forget about that 1 million saved. What's your take there, Dean? I mean, Liverpool defence does seem a little bit more reliable, especially knowing Chelsea centre-backs. Well, they haven't got any.
Exactly that. Like, as it stands right now, if Chelsea signed De Ligt, then maybe I'm changing my mind, or the Koulibaly suddenly comes in.
Yeah,
they're obviously going to sign someone of reasonable significance. I mean, if it was Nathan Ake, I guess it wouldn't massively move the point for me. But I still think I would go for Robertson for now ahead of Chilwell, especially as I say, like, I think it could take Chilwell a little bit of time just to get his all-round game totally on point.
Frode, I like Wissa over Neto. He ended the season well, Wissa, but let's not make any mistake over this. Wissa hasn't been nailed in that 11 for a very long, like all of last season. He was in and out the team. Like, Wissa isn't someone we can guarantee is going to play every week, whilst Neto, you could argue the same last season when he was injured and then coming back from injury, but Neto is Wolves' best player. And the fixtures for Wolves are so good. Like, they're right at the top of the fixture difficulty rating.
Yeah.
Like, Neto arguably could be listed as a forward. I think he has been in the past even. So I think 5.5 Neto is head and shoulders clear of Issa.
Yeah, I thought you'd have had more. Some Arsenal players. I got to say. I thought
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
probably the one
the
thing you might.
defenders are good value as well. Like, I know a lot are loving Tomiyasu, and he was in the scout selection. For those that watch Tomiyasu at Bologna, this isn't someone that's comfortable going forward. He won't get goals and assists. He played in a back three a lot. He can play right centre back or right back, but I don't see huge value in Tomiyasu in terms of upside.
No.
Ben White, same. I think Ben White's price at 4.5 is accurate. Gabriel would be my pick at 5 because he's just such a goal threat. He got 5 goals last season. And then Saka at 8 million is an option too. And Martinelli at 6. If I could afford Martinelli over Neto, I probably would go there.
Yeah, Saka at 8, I actually find a bit off-putting because I don't trust him in terms of consistency. But and Martinelli, I get a bit of a punt at 6. I can see being a. And
he might still be on pens, Martinelli. He is the penalty taker over Saka when they're both on the pitch.
What about Jesus? Do we reckon he might get on him?
He's such a terrible record, but you'd think Jesus has gone to Arsenal to be the big dog, so surely he's going to have pens.
That's it, and I'd be like, surely he can actually take them. Like, he's got a bad record, but like, surely he can figure that out. Like, seems weird.
Love Harry's comment, and I saw Harry post on Twitter earlier something like, everyone's transferring Jesus in now, and I'm guessing he was one of thousands that saw the goals and went there. But I've got the price point covered. Maybe Havertz becomes Jesus. Alex Jones, what are we thinking about Rashford? He's 6.5, Dean, but he, on last season, is nowhere near the 11, and 6.5 is fair because he's done nothing for a very long time. But if Ten Hag does like him, he'll be in all of our teams, won't he, at 6.5 as a midfielder?
Well, Ten Hag needs to rebuild Marcus Rashford, and the first thing he needs to change is his confidence. So he's now got an opportunity to play him as a centre forward at the start of pre-season because Ronaldo's not there. So you don't have to make any decision there. You're not upsetting Ronaldo. Ronaldo's away for personal reasons. And in that time, Rashford has the opportunity to start building himself up again. And look, when he was bursting through on the scene, Rashford was a goal machine. And like wherever you played him in the front line, whether it was coming off the flank, whether it was through the middle, he knew where the net was. He was instinctive. And he needs to get that smell back again. And I think that's what Ten Hag might try to do here. I think, as a short-term fix for whatever this problem is that's been thrown up by Ronaldo, they might have a ready-made answer in Rashford if they can fix this mental block that he's got at the moment, because there's no doubt there is one.
Yeah, and just like Rashford, potentially an option. Sancho at 7.5. Nitish is a good. Sancho's quite a very technical player, and we know Ten Hag likes his technical players, and he would have watched the Bundesliga a lot. I think Sancho might become the standard. I personally don't think Rashford's going to be near that 11 for a while. Maybe he comes on and hits the ground running, and Ten Hag goes, "That's my sort of 9." I don't know. Yeah. And with Ronaldo not in the equation, it does beg the question, who will play up front? But will it be a false 9 Bruno or even Donny? Or I don't know. It's the $1 million question, and pre-season will give us a little bit of an indication there.
But it's mad. If you go back to all the excitement that was around Sancho when this transfer was building up, and this £100 million man, like whatever it was at the time, like United are going to get him, and they obviously was dragged out, and then they got him, and there's all this excitement. We'd seen what he'd done at Dortmund, we'd seen flashes of it for England. And obviously, like, that excitement has died down now because of the way Man United's season went. But Jadon Sancho's unbelievable. And if back then, when all the hype was there, you were hearing that, like, Sancho's only going to be 7.5 million in FPL, you'd have been all over it. You'd be like, that is an absolute bargain. Over the course of a season, he is going to deliver. What we have to work out is when he's going to deliver, because we don't know how Man United are going to start this season. And that's the thing that will put people off. Like, how long is this Ten Hag reboot going to take at Man United, and what kind of license is Sancho going to get to actually go at players and get the spaces that he used to get at Dortmund?
Yeah. It's going to be very interesting. And John's tempted to go away from Haaland by the looks of it. John said to go against, Haaland's scary, but to go against Kane at home, Southampton could be big. I don't know if that's the question, John. I think it's Son or Haaland and just a change of team shape. I get if you go Kane, it's a very easy transfer to go Haaland the following week for Bournemouth at home if you need to. And there's the whole covering price points question, which a lot of people talk about for a lot of time. But for me, covering price points doesn't matter too much. Like, it's 2 transfers always to get that player in a different band. And and we take so many hits anyway, I'm really not for the whole covering price point. And it's something that a lot of my peers at Fantasy Football Scout will bang on about every stream. And that's cool. that's how they manage and it works for them. But you take 4-point hits all the time. You can move within bands. It's fine. You can change formations. Like I'm starting the season with a 5-3-2. Come game week 3, if I'm at a different formation, wouldn't be surprised at all.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
It's time to talk, guys. Time to talk. We've got like 13 minutes remaining, so we want to answer your questions. And loads of you have asked questions earlier in the stream. We'll hopefully try and get back to them. So do hit us up if you've got any new ones. Likewise, let us know your formation in the chat. Like I've just said, I'm playing, and I'm going to write it in the chat. 5-3-2. I'm keen to know what the most popular formation is. I reckon 4-4-2 is going to be popular this year. I don't think everyone's going to go 5 at the back like me with big on premiums. I think I am going to do that. But yeah, keen to know what everyone else is doing in terms of formation. Because look, usually we've always gone back 3. Always. It's been 3-4-3 or 3-5-2.
3-4-3, isn't it? Yeah.
But this season's different for me.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. I think football's going like that too. I think that we're starting to get to the point where actually we're going to see more people moving away from the 4-3-3 and actually seeing some different formations. And that will have a knock-on effect to FPL too, because people will start scoring points from different areas of the field. So it's going to be interesting.
Just a dad posting stuff says, he's going to go 4-4-2, but maybe change. The 4.5 rotating mid is an option. We had a question in about Richarlison, 4-4-2 from Fatality. Yeah, what do you think to this, Dean? CH says, how's he going to fit the Kane-Son bromance? Is he obviously he can play in all those front 3 positions for Richarlison, which is why he's been bought. He's versatile. But in terms of the starting formation, do you think Richarlison gets in there ahead of Kulu, or?
I'll be surprised. I don't think it's actually wise that he does start the season. I think that he should be given time to watch it. Yeah, I think that you sometimes need to actually just study it from the side and watch how those connections are happening on the pitch. And it's not that you're being dropped. It's not anything to do with that. It's that you are being given time to transition into this team so that when you do actually hit the ground running, you hit the ground running. Look at Bruno Guimaraes at Newcastle last season. He was this big signing in Jan. They held him back. And when he went into that team, he made this huge impact. And that's what they need on Richarlison. They're not crying out for a player to add a new dynamic to that connection between Kane and Son. They've already got it. What they need is little pieces that work nicely alongside them, players to figure out like what their role can be in that dynamic. And like, Richarlison will love the fact that he's going to get the opportunities to go beyond Harry Kane. When he drops, like he'll want to go into those holes in behind, but he needs to figure how he's going to do that. And yes, he'll have this pre-season time, but it's not until you get into the real blood and thunder of the Premier League that you figure out like what spaces you'll actually get and what's the best way to get them.
Yeah. And for those thinking that all 4 will start as well as 2 wing backs, Conte will not play a front 6 like that. Like Conte's system is a back 5, front 5. So it'll be 3 from 4 every week. And unless they're losing 2-0 and it's like kitchen sink time.
Yeah, totally.
Colm, good question. What's better, the rotating or the subbed early wing backs or the 90-minute centre half? So it's a bit like going, would you go for a Dyer over a Perisic or a Laporte over a Cancelo? And for me, I'm all about the upside as an FPL manager in general, not just with defenders. Like I pick players like Havertz and Foden, who I think on any given week could come up with a 15-pointer. I like to put my name in the hat rather than the steady returns of a James Ward-Prowse, or even you could at Chelsea say Mason Mount over Havertz, for example. So for me, like I'm all about the wing backs over the centre backs with FPL, especially knowing that, as Dean said, like football's changing. Like these are often popping up in wide forward positions, these wing backs or full backs. So the goal involvement is just so strong. Unless you have a centre back like Gabriel, Lewis Dunk, arguably Van Dijk, that have goal threat, but unfortunately these guys don't have assist threat. Whilst the wing backs like Reece James, like Chilwell, like Perisic, they have goal and assist threat.
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
Go for it.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned Mount though, because he was one that I hovered over earlier when I was doing my draft. I was like, I do like Mount though. Like he's good. He's really good, and he's gonna play all the time. But there haven't been that many times I've had him in my team for like prolonged period. Like someone you jump on because he finds a bit of form, and then 2 games later he's back out the team and you take him out. But
I never feel like he's got a hat trick in him. Yeah, I feel with a Foden or a Havertz you could get a hat trick.
Yeah, he did get one last season, didn't he? Got one.
Yeah, I think he did. I think he might have done. I think it was against Norwich when Havertz blanked. FPL River. This is one for you, Dean. Why didn't Fulham go for Nico? Was it just price?
He was so expensive. Like, it's a ridiculous price to play for him. Like, I can't believe that they've paid that much money for him. So I'm surprised, because after we let Liverpool have Carvalho and got that deal done, I thought we were getting something back here, and that's what I was led to believe. And then the price point keeps going up, and I guess they're just protecting themselves and getting the maximum value out of him. But I'm not sure that that's a good deal. I don't, I loved him at Fulham, really, really enjoyed watching him. But that was in the Championship when we were scoring 7 goals a game. That's not happening for Nottingham Forest in the Premier League. So it's going to be really interesting.
New channel, Tom. Come on, yeah, kind of are. We had
Kind
a
of
bit at
are
the
in
end of
terms of
last
YouTube.
season.
I mean, people have been around here for 10 years.
It's a fair
new
point.
kids on the block.
We're not even 10 months. So we started towards the end of last season. So yeah, Tom, if you like what you see, give us a like, give us a subscribe. Please do. Our routine is going to be Mondays and Fridays throughout the season. So 7 p.m. UK time, this time, always on a Monday, always on a Friday. Very occasionally we might tweak them, but the Friday streams are brilliant because they're just ahead of deadlines. The Monday stream is looking at the week ahead and the weekend just gone. It's cool. And look, you've got me as the FPL guy. If you're not familiar with both of us, I work in FPL and have done for a few years. And we've got Dean, who's a journalist, but also an insider at some big clubs with some good stories coming out of them. So for the pre-season transfer chat, which if you missed the start of this show, go back and watch. We talked to Ronaldo. We talked to a few others, Sterling. Then, it's really useful, especially when it comes to FPL, when we start getting Dean's insight on things like starting 11 and injuries.
Absolutely, yeah. Question there from FPL River about any truth in Chelsea game.
I would love that. I would love that so much because it's no to United, and Chelsea could do with De Jong. They really could.
Well, this is it. And it's kind of one that's cropped up in conversations. We talk about Bowley just throwing himself into people's boardrooms and having conversations with people. And it feels like the De Jong conversation has come as a result of other inquiries. And that is often how people stumble upon big deals. And look, the fact is, Tuchel knows that Chelsea are going to need another centre midfielder. Still chance that Jorginho leaves this summer, most likely.
Kante plays half games.
Yeah, Kante is getting towards the end of his time. It's probably if he does stay at Chelsea, this will be his last season at Chelsea. And we know they're looking strongly at Declan Rice. They're very heavy into Jude Bellingham, right? But Frankie de Jong is, let's face it, readily available, right? You've just got to pay up. And it's cheaper than both of those players. He's actually going cheaper than both those players. And at this moment in time, better than, in terms of what he is as a player, what is he now, 24 or something, Frankie? I don't know. But he's more of an all-round footballer now. And
pedigree.
Mate, he's a good player.
Cultured. I can't believe he's going that cheap, though. If a year ago, we'd be talking about De Jong as a £100 million player again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And obviously, look, I think Man United are still confident they can get this done. I think United will end up just paying whatever it takes. Because if they miss out on De Jong now, it's a massive L on their heads, they can't do it. And Ten Hag too would look like a bit of a failure if he failed to help land De Jong right now, especially if Tuchel and Todd did manage to get one over on him.
Tiffany, I'm going to get to your question in just a sec. Before we do, Tom Hill, that's really good to know. Only now have we come up in your recommended. So that's why you thought we might be a brand new channel. And look, guys, you got to help us out because as a small FPL channel, which has very big ambitions and hopefully really valuable content, we don't show in the YouTube algorithm. So we need your help. So by liking the channel and by subscribing and by commenting, not just in the chat, but on the actual stream, you're helping us out and we'll be seen in more people's recommended with your help. So do share about it, tell your friends, post about us on Twitter, all that jazz. Tiffany, Haaland, hit the ground running. I think so. And look, we probably all think he's got a very good chance of doing it. It's just, is it worth parting with 11.5 and going over a Spurs player? That's the question. But Dean, you didn't put him in your first draft, but do you think you'll start the season with him?
Don't know. I really don't know. I don't think
if he scores big in
it's West Ham first, right?
Yeah, and he's got the Community Shield just before, and so if he plays well in that Community Shield game,
maybe I'm going to be tempted to do it just because everybody else has got
FOMO. FOMO gets you,
and that could get me. But if I was to really use my head, I don't know if I would pick Haaland from game week 1.
Bournemouth game week 2 though.
Yeah, I mean, I have him game week 2. But yeah, I don't know like West Ham, I just don't know about that game. I think it's a tough one. Dreaming FPL, by the way, he's asked a Liverpool fan what to expect from Carvalho. I'm told they're going to test him in the front three during pre-season to give him an opportunity. Ultimately, he doesn't really fit either of those wide roles. For Fulham, he played as a breakout midfielder. Liverpool don't yet play that. I believe that this will be the season that Liverpool begin to transition to a new setup. I think they'll end up playing a 3 and a 1. And so that's where I'm going with that. But yeah, he also says Darwin over Diaz. And again, I'm not sure about that one.
That's high risk.
Start. That's high risk from the start, I think. By the end of the season, probably.
He's got to earn his stripes, Darwin. Like that Liverpool front three, you can't just walk into unless you're a Haaland, like he will at City. But I think Darwin's gonna get a few off the bench to start with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bowen or Maddison? 8.5 Bowen. He had a big price jump. Maddison's 8. I like both these players, and look, they'll both be overlooked because they're not the sexiest names. And in that price band, you'll look at Saka and Mount, who will be more popular. But I like both. It's a tough one. I like the fact that kind of you're looking at these names, like so many aren't. I do look at Maddison and wonder if Barnes at 7 is the better value. Like Maddison will probably outscore Barnes. I don't think there'll be much in it. You might want to save that million. Bowen at 8.5 is obviously the standout West Ham player. I don't think their fixtures are brilliant, though, West Ham start the season. Like, they obviously have a tricky first game.
Yeah, Leicester's actually start isn't too bad. They got Brentford, Arsenal, Southampton, Chelsea, and then Man United. And, you know, Man United is a home game, so you could expect Leicester to, do well there. You expect them to beat Southampton at home. Brentford is a home game too. And Arsenal Chelsea games are away, so they're like bonuses if you get anything. Like, yeah, Maddison might do all right.
Yeah, Jota over Jesus or Wilson. I mean, Jota's 9. If Jota, you're going to go Jesus for 8, and I think is Wilson 8 or 7.5. I'm not. Let's have a look because Wilson, when he's fit, is a brilliant FPL asset. He's 7.5. He starts the season to Forest and then Brighton.
Was that Newcastle? Yeah. The thing to beware of Newcastle is that they're going to sign another forward. So we're still going to get a big forward signed by Newcastle in the coming weeks. They're working on it right now to see who that person's going to be. So by the time the season comes around, that probably won't be on the table. So I'm not sure Wilson will be starting at this point.
So you're confident they'll sign, even with, because they don't want Chris Wood as their backup, because Wilson will miss 20 games this season.
Yeah, I mean, they want like a Calvert-Lewin. They're ready to push the boat out and spend like 40, 50 million on a forward, I think.
Nice. Definitely one to watch then. I must admit, that one's completely like passed me by, Newcastle's hunt for a 9. And yeah, of course.
Yeah.
United relegated, question mark, struggling not to see everything. Yeah, I mean, that's going a bit far, but United, I don't think are going to be challenging for top 4 this season. I really don't, unless Ten Hag can work miracles. But that core group of players just isn't good enough.
I mean, they're currently worse than they were last season, and it was like their worst finish in however long. But they've still got time in this transfer window, and if in a few weeks' time we're looking back and they've got De Jong, they've got Eriksen, they've signed Anthony, they signed a number 9, they signed a centre back. Suddenly things are looking a bit different. So yeah, right here and now, like Man United do genuinely look even worse than they were last season. But the next month is big. It's a long time in football.
Couple of very quick fire ones. Tiffany, thoughts on Matip? Oh, don't go there. I think Konate is going to get even more game time this year, and it's kind of toss of a coin between who's going to partner Van Dijk each week there. Let's move on to the next one for Dean. What's happening with Lingard?
Well, he's weighing everything up, including move to MLS. So really open-minded. I think he's been very interested in West Ham, not so interested in Everton. There's another club in for him too, which evades me right now. But I think he's just at that point of his career where he wants to. He's tempted to try something totally new, and he's had offers from Europe too. Let's see. I'm not sure he'll be in anyone's team by the start of the season.
James to start centre back. I don't think so, Sean, because Reece James will play centre back when it's a back 3, but then the question would become who's going to play right wing back, and I don't think Haspe's going to do that week in, week out. So James isn't going to play centre back if they play a back 4. So no, I don't think so. I don't think we'll see that. Possibly if they go for the back five and they sign a right wing back, but no one's really linked anymore. Like Jules Koundé will come and play centre back if he comes, but he looks like he's going Barca as well.
Yeah, everyone's going Barca.
Haaland up top or a second premium mid? It's pretty. The debate for me is it's Haaland or Son. It's Man City or it's Spurs. I'm gonna say Haaland. I'm gonna say try and buy some Spurs players though, like Perisic for sure. Guys, good to have 100 of you watching. That's awesome. Give us a like and a subscribe. Like so many of you watching are probably new around here. So let me just recap what we do on Chasing Green Arrows. We show our teams. That's cool. We get the inside line from Dean when we're talking transfers. That's awesome. Like earlier on in the show, we had some awesome graphics about, we can run through them. So source meters on Ronaldo. This is what we thought to the Ronaldo move, like to Chelsea. This is what we thought to the Spence move to Spurs. We thought it was high likelihood of happening. We thought if he goes, he'll do well. And then, of course, we looked at one other player in Sterling. Oh, no, it wasn't. It was Tielemans.
Yeah, Sterling last week, I think.
Sterling last week was it. So we gave Tielemans a medium rating. And then we looked at some juicy stats, like the expected goals and assists from all of these players. Like I'm going 5 at the back. We've seen that. So which 5? And then, of course, the team reveal. So you can expect this as our format pre-season. And we're going to do these shows every Mondays and Fridays. So loving that. And Dean's fresh back from America and going to have his head stuck into all the transfer chat in the next couple of weeks. It's going to be a busy couple of weeks for you, Dean.
It is, yeah. The break is over. It's just full transfer gossip now. Even just earlier, I was in town and just, literally met my mum and for a Starbucks after getting back off holiday. And in my town, I bumped into like a quite major football agent, actually. Like bumped into him and managed to get like I know him quite well, so I hadn't seen him for a few years with COVID and stuff. So there are little conversations like that which lead to just little bits of information, and now I can start picking up on the text with him. So yeah, just got to get out there again and start meeting people and just find out like how these last couple of months are going to look at this transfer window. Like it's going to be big. Like there's some massive stuff coming, and I'm just excited to have this show back too, mate. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I'm well excited. I'm like, I needed the break and now I'm ready to go again. Dreaming FPL. Last question from him. James or Chilwell or both? For me, like that second Chelsea defender comes down to the centre-backs they sign, the system they play, and how they look in pre-season. And we will know so much more in 3 weeks' time. Like, I want to know if they're playing a back 4, because if they are, I'm put off by double Chelsea defence. 1, because I don't think the fullbacks will be quite as attacking, although they'll still bomb forward. But 2, I don't think we'll keep many clean sheets in the back 2. I don't think like Thiago Silva is brilliant in a 3. A bit like David Luiz was. In a 2 at his age, not for me. Okay. Richard G, what's your take on this, Dean? Haaland up top or a second premium mid? Oh, we kind of touched on that a second ago. What was your take on it?
I don't like. I'm not touching Haaland first week, am I? I'm going to stick by
it. Coming up, we might have one more question. I think we'll have a comment of the stream coming up, actually, guys. Thank you, FPL River. On the graphic we showed, it was actually Ronaldo with a top knot as well. So yeah, I'll take that. Although Ronaldo definitely looks younger than me. He's 37 and I'm 34. So that's unfortunate. I'm definitely more grey as well.
Don't.
Yeah.
That's the baby, guys, mate. That's the baby doing that to you.
Yeah. Guys, we have had so many comments this stream. Thank you so much for your engagement. Before you leave, give us a like. But if you're new around here, please drop us a comment, like not even a chat comment, in the actual comments, because then we can look back and see them. Keen to know what you like, what you dislike, how we can improve. But remember, every Monday, every Friday at 7, we are here and we're here to stay. Stephen, thank you so much for hitting that data up. Hopefully you're back in the UK for the next stream so it doesn't cost you a fortune to watch. Anyway, it's time to wrap. He's been Dean, I've been Gianni, and we've been Chasing Green Arrows.